Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Before continue singing this bhajan, I would like to reflect on this. See, sometimes absorbing in the world of the sweet songs, melodious songs of the bhajanam of the Supreme Lord is more important than speaking so much. Okay, so the nature of the spiritual world, the nature of the world of self-realization, divine realizations is vast. It is that realization happens so much through mood, through feelings, instead of some intellectual analysis, scholarly explanations. After all, it is spiritual world of spiritual realizations. So that spirit needs to be felt, tasted. So while we absorb in singing some beautiful bhajan with loving devotional mood, it is very, very beneficial. No less than having talks, hearing, discussion, because world of the bhajana, world of the devotional songs is filled with some melodious spirit of love of God, filled with the taste, no matter which language it takes place. Doesn't matter which language it manifests through. Just absorb in the mood. I think that song is well known to all of you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. This is an example of song, one of the most important songs offered in loving devotion to the Lord. Through His beautiful, meaningful holy names, each and every name of the Supreme Lord, so significant, spiritually, divinely significant. Each and every holy name mentioned in this song represents one whole world, each and every word in relation to the infinite world of loving devotion to the Supreme Lord. Ecstatic loving devotion. In other words, ecstatic love of Supreme Lord. So let us sing, immersing, absorbing to that loving mood. Like we're offering a love song to our beloved Lord. Should be the mood. Yes, please. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Hey Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Hey Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Nitai Gaurango 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 Jaya Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Jaya Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe Govinda, Govinda Radhe, Radhe 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 Govinda, Govinda Radhe Radhe, Madan Mohan Radhe, 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 Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Jaya Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Gopinath Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Gopinath Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Gopinath Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Gopinath Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Gopinath Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Gopinath Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, 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 Jaya Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Govinda Radhe. Vandeham Sri Guru Sriyuta Padakamalam, Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha, Sri Rupam Shagrajatam, Sahagana Raghunathannitam, Tang Sajivam, Sadvaitam Sabadhutam, Parijana Sahitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhannitam Bande Guru Padadandam Bhakta Vrinda Samannitam Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Bande Nityananda Sahoditam Sri Nandanandanang Bande Radhika Charana Dvayam Gopi Jana Samayuktam Vrindavana Manoharam Guravi Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Stadalai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All of you. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my most respectful obeisances unto the holy lotus feet of my Guru Pada Padma, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. I humbly pray for His divine mercy be bestowed upon me, upon all of us. And as next, as none different from my Guru Deva, I offer my prostrated obeisances to the holy feet of His Divine Grace, Srimad Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ji Maharaj, and His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, and all my Guru Varga, and humbly pray for their divine grace be bestowed upon all of us. And finally, I offer my devoted obeisance unto the holy lotus feet of His Divine Grace, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada. Humbly pray for His divine mercy be showered upon all of us. All glories to all their divine graces, all the Guru Varga, all the Vaishnavas, great pure devotees, exalted devotees, lovers of the Supreme Lord. So offer my loving regards to all of you, the good souls assembled here, to hear the glories of the Supreme Divine, Supreme Personality of all divine truth, universal divine truth, who is lovingly called very dearly called as Krishna, also called by so many other dear beloved names. One of the beloved names is called as Sri Krishna, Lord Krishna. And the same Krishna also expands as his second self as Srimati Radharani, the Supreme God and Supreme Goddess, Divine God, Divine Goddess. Sometimes, because of some limited concepts of God and Goddess, we don't want to hear these words, God and Goddess. But what I mean, two personifications, okay, male form, female form, in male form, female form, of the all-pervading, universal divine truth, omniscient, omnipotent, known as super power, super bliss, super fulfillment of our life. Soul's personification of all divine fulfillment of our life. Okay. We're talking about them. Same supreme divine truth can manifest in impersonal way, also personal ways. Can reveal himself or herself in personal ways, personal nature that of unlimited character, also in personal forms, in personal ways, also of unlimited nature. We can relate to the supreme divine truth, all-pervading super power, super wisdom, super energy, super bliss of our life, blissful fulfillment of life, both ways. But while we learn to relate to the supreme divine with personal relationship, or in a personal way, through personal beloved relationship in eternity, in limitlessness, then it becomes so ecstatic, becomes the source of infinite ecstasy and bliss, divine bliss. In other words, highest ecstatic fulfillment of life. Just a while ago, we all engaged in singing some devotional songs. We all became nicely engaged, sweetly engaged in singing Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, devotional songs. You know, the path of the devotional songs offered to the Supreme Lord. The world of the devotional songs, okay, love songs for the Supreme Divine, is one of the best wonderful ways to closely, intimately relate that Supreme Divine. Attain Him intimately. Therefore we find many of the pure devotees, exalted devotees of the Supreme Divine are also great musicians, great poets and singers, because they're all actually related to and attain the Supreme Lord, eternal ecstatic love service to the Supreme Divine Lord through the path of devotional songs, journeying through the beautiful world, wonderful world of singing devotional songs and feeling the intimate relationship with the super soul, beloved Lord in their life. And they receive fulfillment through that. Because this world is the world, the spiritual world is not only the world of understanding through knowledge, understanding through intelligence and knowledge or wisdom, but also very much the world of realizing through love, realizing the Supreme Lord through ecstatic love feelings, ecstatic love experience. World of Bhava, Mahabhava, Prema. Prema. Yes. Blissful love of God, blissful love. How it is? A blissful love of God, that of divine character, that of transcendental character. There are innumerable topics to discuss about the Supreme Infinite Divine, Supreme Lord, the Limitless. So, I prefer to invite some queries relevant to the feelings of all of you, of your heart, and then continue my spiritual discussion in connection with a specific spiritual query, related or unrelated to what I was discussing, okay, from any aspect of of spirituality.
I can start with this free will. Is it okay?
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, I've had these thoughts about what actually is free will. Because like in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, we talk about...
Please speak a bit louder so that it's well recorded also.
Okay.
Your question.
Like in Bhagavad Gita and the scriptures we study, the jiva, the soul, the human being, as we call it, is sometimes so heavily conditioned by these material natures and the forces of nature. And with a mind that is so conditioned, how is it possible to utilize your free will if you are all, how to say, for example, say, in total ignorance? How can you, in that state of mind, actually utilize, and how is it possible to have free will when you're so heavily conditioned by the moods of the material nature. How is it possible? Because you seem to more or less be controlled by the material nature. So, and that my realization is that that grip is very, very tight. It's very hard. Then, if that grip is so tight on you, how is it possible to say that you actually do have free will?
Very good question. And answer to this question also very beneficial for one and all. Let me tell you, first of all, there are different aspects of answer to the very source of this question, to the nature of this question. First of all, we need to understand the nature of our conditioning and the nature of free will, how they play part, how they play roles in our lives. You know, let me start answering from the first aspect. Okay, because I tell you before, each and every verse, each and every verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita is so much impregnated with the meanings and significance, so filled with meanings and different types of significance, not one or two. Sometimes it has multifarious aspects of the meanings. Okay, individually and collective way. Individually and interrelated collective ways of the meanings. So in order to understand the versatile aspects of the meanings and significance of the verses of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we need to analytically understand many of the principal aspects of the meanings. So first of all, let us understand one basic character, basic reality. Where there is scope of conditioning, I repeat, where there is scope of conditionings, it automatically indicates there is also scope for freedom. So, in other words, I say, whenever you say light, automatically it means there is also darkness. As soon as you speak of anything positive, it automatically indicates there is also negative. There's positive, there's negative, and there's something neutral in between, connecting between positive and negative in some mystical way. So, wherever there is some scope for the conditioning, it automatically justifies, indicates, on the contrary, that there is also some scope for freedom. Otherwise, that concept of conditioning will not come. You become conditioned means before you are not conditioned. And conditionings also change from one conditioning into another conditioning. That's what we experience while we move through time, all the different time, place, situations. Conditionings, conditions or nature of conditionings also change accordingly. according to the change of time, place, situations, and individual taste. Okay. So, while, in other words, while someone can get conditioned, it means someone also can get free. Vice versa. Okay. Okay. Like as there is positive possibility, there is a function of positive, there is negative, and neutrality in between, as I said. So, by the self-evident nature of how the truth works, truth as a whole works. Truth works holistically, or holistic truth works. Is that one proves another. Sometimes they complement each other, supplement each other, or they fight with each other. Okay? Whether they positively relate to each other or negatively relate to each other. All are truths, different aspects of the truth. So conditioning is one of the aspects of the truths of life. Other aspect, which is automatically, self-evidently, it's like axiomatic truth, self-evidently proven, freedom is also another aspect of life. Okay. If there is no concept of freedom, there will be no concept of conditioning. Being freedomless. Being conditioned means being freedomless. Okay. So, if there is no, okay, so, or if there is no concept of the conditioning, getting conditioned, there will be no real concept of the freedom. Freedom from what? Free from what? When you speak of free from what? Free from conditioning. Then it is being meaningful. Free will, the term being meaningful because there is also scope for conditioning. Otherwise, there would be no need for saying free will, free choice. So, back to the point. By the ways of the self-evident self-evident ways of the truth. The way truth works, self-evident way. It is proven. If there is conditioning, there is also scope of freedom. If there is free will, scope of free will, there is also conditioning. Okay? So that also proves, like in mathematics, proof by exhaustion, proving through exhaustion. Minus can prove plus, side of plus can also prove minus. And because there is plus and minus, some neutral state also there between plus and minus. A state of zero, but it's not really zero, it's not really nothing. It is something appears to be nothing, or nothing proves something. That is like zero. It is that kind of nothing which proves something, because that zero connects both sides, plus and minus. It's a neutral state. It's a state represents nothingness, also something. Both. Combination of both character, like margin. Merging means very margin between two colors is the combination of both colors, otherwise margin will not be created. Meeting point. At the same time, it's none of those colors. It's a margin. It's made of none. At the same time, it's made of both. Such an subtle imaginary line that margin is. It connects to both sides at the same time. It is very neutral, imaginary, thin line. Neither of those. That's like position of zero. That is position of neutrality. So, neutrality means there is some no man's land between two countries, between the borders of the two countries. Between the borders of two countries, there's like a no man's land. Meaning, you can pass through that state. Meaning, that marginal state means state of neutrality between positive and negative, conditioning and freedom, conditioned activity and free activity or free choice, means that you can move from one to another. There is a passage. If everything is fully conditioned, then you cannot get out of that. All are prison, all are full confinement. Then you cannot get out of that because there is no way. But there is a way. That is state of neutrality. So from conditioning, you can move. You can pass through the world of the free choice, zone of the free choice, through neutral state, which is neither of the side. Not on this, neither on the side of conditioning nor on the side of freedom. It's in between, connecting both sides, like a passage to pass through. So that passage also there. It means a conditioned jiva soul. There is a possibility, there is potential that a conditioned jiva soul can also get rid of that conditioning and pass to the neutral state and be in the world of free choice. Again, from that world of free choice also can come, also whether obliged, can be obliged or may not be obliged out of free choice, can participate. Again, can participate in the world of conditioning. Or can also be conditioned by time, place, situation, can be influenced, can be conditioned by the influence of this time, place, situation that Jiva Soul is living in. So what's happening? So by some self-evident ways of how truth manifests, we understand there is functions of the both aspects. Conditioning, conditioned aspects, and that of free choice. Number one. Second way of the explanation, second aspects of looking at this truth, analyzing and understanding. That the concept of the conditioning is not that full as we are thinking. When I say conditioned jiva soul, it means partly conditioned, not fully conditioned. And it will be as good as dead, as completely confined, not dead exactly, but it means jiva soul will be completely confined, imprisoned, totally isolated. It's like everlasting. It's like imprisoned life forever, without any further chance of seeing of hoping for any freedom, getting freed or getting liberation. That will be impossible. If the conditioning of the jiva soul becomes eternal, unconditionally conditioned, goes on in eternity, endlessness, full, then there would be no real meaning of the life. There would be no real meanings of the terms like liberation. There would be no real meanings of the, of the truths such as our functioning of life, that of liberation. Okay. And or emancipation, okay, divine freedom. But because we are living being, We are not dead matter. Living being means there's so much movement, so much activities. And because we can understand through common sense, despite the fact that we are heavily conditioned by the time, place, situation we are living in, by the association we are living in, yet there is a position and scope for I, me, mine, maybe a little bit. Okay, but there is some scope for I, me, mine, again in a limited manner, I mean, that I am here, I am thinking, feeling, willing, I may do, may not do, I can do, cannot do. Both sides are there. It's not conditioned in one way, then it would be totally conditioned life. Some kind of choice is there, mystical, very mystical way. Let me explain again. So, we have to understand in the very first place, I repeat, we need to understand this reality in the very first place, that the concept of the conditioning of the jiva soul is that of partly nature, that of partly character. In other words, it's a partly conditioning, not full-scale conditioning. Okay? And the nature of freedom, free choice in the jiva is also that of partly nature. Partly means it's a part, not full swing. So, some parts of the lives of the jiva souls are conditioned. It means some other parts are free from that conditioning, outside that conditioning. So, back to the point. So, we need to understand the very concept of that term when it is stated, jiva souls are conditioned, we are conditioned. It doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't at all mean, not necessarily, it doesn't mean at all that we are fully conditioned in eternity to the limitlessness. No. Partly conditioned, no matter how heavy it is, but partly conditioned. And that condition means, this conditioning means it's limited. If it would be something unlimited, then it would not be said condition. It would be what it is. Condition means this condition, that condition, that condition, it can change. Different forms of condition means different changes, different types. Means one condition is limited. There's a limit to each and every condition. Means there is a change from one to another, to another, to another. It means one particular condition is ending. It has got an end to start with another conditioning. That also ends at some point to start with another. So these are the nature of the conditioning is also temporary. Okay? No matter how heavy it can be, is also temporary. I just say that in a relative sense, but let me repeat. So the nature of each and every conditionings is temporary, not eternal, is limited, not limitless, doesn't continue limitlessness. Okay? Is mortal, not immortal. Is part, is partial, that of partial character, not of full character. So, when we understand that, then we can easily understand, okay, as we have conditioning, part of conditioning, we also have the part of freedom, free choice. Now, how to recognize what is our free choice? What is the function? What is and how is the functioning of our free choice? Free will means free choice, some way. Well, we can have free will in many ways, but in the field of practical choice, we may not be able to do that. But here, free will means, application of free will means you can make a free choice, okay, in certain ways. So, now, I can explain these terms in these ways. Conditioned choice, free choice. Now, if I term it as conditioned choice, it may be self-contradictory. Can also be self-contradictory. If it is a choice, how it can be conditioned? Choice means choice. Sometimes we say, oh, there is no choice. Means there is no freedom. So generally choice means free choice. This automatically means when we say there is no choice, oh, there is choice, means there is free choice. In a similar way, we cannot really say conditioned choice. It's a relative way of speaking. You cannot but choice. You cannot but have to choose that way. It's not a real choice. It means conditioned way of doing. That's the correct way of saying. So, there are two aspects we find in our activity. A conditioned way of doing, conditioned way of performance without any choice. We're helpless to do things or perform things in that way as it is conditioned, like already preconditioned, predestined, kind of. One cannot but have to do in that conditioned way, in a certain conditioned way. What I repeat is that one cannot but have to do, okay, to do certain things in a particularly conditioned way, helpless.
It is like,
okay.
I try to understand now, it's like almost like you following a tradition or a certain kind of culture. You have no choice but to do it the way the tradition is
okay.
Kind of.
Let me explain. I'm explaining still. That is one way, okay, when one has no choice, helplessly controlled by the conditioning, performing everything, all acts of life through conditioning. Now, another aspect is there. We are not that helpless, because since the nature of the conditioning is partial, okay, it's not fully conditioning our life. So, already there the aspect, already there scope, okay, a good amount of scope, not small amount, good amount of scope of our free choice and freedom from the conditioning. We need to discover, yet to be discovered, which way. Okay. So therefore, since we understand the nature of all the conditionings are limited, are partial by nature, okay, are temporary, are changing. So we naturally understand. It means, on the contrary, there is the scope of getting freed from all the conditionings. World of free choice also exists. Now, it depends on. Now I'm coming to the one of the main points to answer to answer you. Depends on time, place, situation, one's own individual capability and qualities, constitutional nature, qualification, how much the conditioning will be working in his or her life and how much it will not be working, how much he or she can work out things free from conditionings. All depends. Cannot be explained in the same way. Okay? Like a doctor applies his medical knowledge, okay, and takes his decision of the treatments according to the nature of the patients, nature of sickness. Same doctor doing the medical treatment with the same medical knowledge, but the applications are all different. Similarly, how much there will be free will, how much activities of the free will, free choice, or how much conditioned ways of doing things should be there, all depending on time, place, situations, law of karma, past karma, present karma, individual feelings and taste and making decisions. Okay. But both functions are there, functions of conditioning and that of free choice. Now, functions of free choice is always there, no matter how meager it is, how fine or how small it may be, but still it's there, inherent. Because we are living being. Okay, one of the basic fundamental characters of life is found in freedom, in free thinking, feeling, willing. Because the nature of the life is characterized by some free choice, free will, free thinking, feeling, willing. It cannot but be, otherwise it's not a life. Life means movement. Life means, unlike dead matter, life means movement. Okay? Life means feelings, experience, unlike the dead matter. So, whereas there is feeling, thinking, willing, it means it's flowing. It means there's something creative. I am feeling means something I am feeling is not all predestined feeling, something anew. I am thinking of something means something new. Not all the time I am thinking, absorbed in thoughts, all old thought process. Every moment I have got the freedom to think something anew, feeling something new. Not that I am bringing everything from the past. I am also I can do something new. At the present also, fresh. So there is also functions of fresh feeling, thinking and willing. It means it's the sign of the dynamic nature of the life. It means my feeling, thinking, willing is flowing. It's not limited within certain area. It cannot go outside that because it's flowing. Flowing means it cannot be confined. Conditioning means it's confined, helplessly controlled. Flow means, although flow is also controlled in a certain path and everything, conditioning is there, but there is some conditioning favoring the change of freedom, healthy conditioning instead of unhealthy, sickly conditioning. There can be healthy conditioning and unhealthy conditioning. Okay? Healthy conditioning, sickly conditioning. positive conditioning, negative conditioning. In that way, you can also term the faculty of free will, free choice, the function of free choice of the jivas also is another type of positive conditioning. That jivas can also, the life, all the living beings, all the jivas have also the conditions that they will enjoy freedom. Freedom is also another condition. Like when our country gets freedom, it also has got some terms and conditions of how a free country will move forward. It's called positively conditioned. So if our free choice can also be defined as it can flow through some positive terms and conditionings characterized with freedom. In opposite way, on the contrary, okay, it can also be understood within the conditioning, that conditioning can also be changed. There is some functions of the freedom can be found out within that partly conditionings of our life, no matter how heavy. Okay, there can be some potentials. There are some potentials of changing from that conditioning, means coming out of that conditionings. Okay, in order to get into another world of the conditioning of the free choice, getting out of the conditioning of confinement to getting into the world of the conditioning of the freedom. If you consider both are conditionings, yes, from negative conditionings you are coming to the positive world of positive conditioning, healthy. Okay. Condition of sickness and condition of health, both are conditions. But through sickness, you are bound to take pain, what you don't like, no free choice. But through the positive conditions of health, but through your healthy conditions, you can enjoy. You can enjoy your health with free choice. But there is also another type of conditioning, but good health condition, which is enjoyable. You are also influenced, as you are influenced by the negative conditioning, you are also influenced by positive, healthy conditions. Both ways you are influenced. But within both influences, within the world of the both types of conditionings and heavy influences, whether negative or positive, still there is something working out as free will, free choice. It cannot but have to be there because we are living. A few moments ago, a while ago, I explained through that example, because we have got feeling, thinking, willing. And the very nature of all this feeling, thinking, willing of our consciousness is that of dynamic character. Dynamic means it's not static and stagnant, confined within one conditioning. It moves from one to another. It doesn't stay confined with conditioning. So it automatically proves. As there is conditioning, there is also way to get out of the conditionings. Both are truths in our life. So, back to the point. Therefore, we understand. By nature we understand. There is not only potential, not only prospects, we actually have the scope of our free choice. We need to discover it. We need to be expert making discovery. Find the way out or make it. You can do it. That ability is also given by the Supreme Being, by the superpower in our life, because we are living being. So that ability is already given in our hand. Find the way or make it, okay, with the help of your self-power and superpower. And that's how many great lives do things in their life. There would never be great lives. There would never be any great life or great lives if there would be heavy conditioning only. Then they would ever remain as conditioned jiva soul. How they could be free, liberated souls, great lives? They could never be. So that also proves again, self-evident way, as we find ordinary, extraordinary. As we find ordinary lives and great lives. Life in bondage, conditioned lives and liberated lives. Both are true, yes? Both are realities. So, I repeat, if life would be eternally conditioned, there would be only conditioned life, how could there be the great lives? In other words, liberated lives. So, through the examples of the great liberated souls, it is already established, this fact is established, that there is also much scope of the free choice, higher free choice. Therefore, from the ordinary lives, conditioned lives, we find many examples. They got out of all that limits of the conditions. At some point they got out, managed to get out of all the limits, confinement of the conditioned nature, become liberated. Finally, they are recognized, defined, worshipped, okay, highly respected as the great lives, great liberated souls. Self-evidently proven. Otherwise there would be no scope, there would be no question of finding the great lives. If conditioning would be controlling everything in our life. Now, the third or fourth phase, let me explain how subtle ways of the free wills, free choice work. Through examples, I'm going to explain through examples. Through the examples of life of intoxication, life of addiction within intoxications, heavy, life under the heavy influence of the addiction of intoxication, energy of intoxications. How we feel. At some point, at some stage of the heavy intoxication, okay, at some level of the very heavy conditionings of the influence of the intoxication, it looks like he cannot do anything. I mean, he cannot get out of it. It looks like nearly impossible for that person to get out of it, because he or she is so heavily controlled. That's what, in other words, we call drug addict. Addict means so addicted, he has no choice. Heavily controlled by the energy of the addiction. Yet, if the same person wakes up with the higher ability, with the superior ability already given on the plane of soul and super soul, there is a great potential, not just potential. I said there is a great potential means there is a great reality to be manifested in future. So I say potential in a truthful sense, realistic sense. So there is a great potential, great realistic, scope, that the same person, no matter how heavily drug addicted with intoxication, can still come out of that. And we find many such examples. Previously, the persons previously heavily addicted, persons who used to be taking heavy intoxications, heavily addicted. Somehow or other, he came out of that, she came out of that. Through personal willpower, some power of determination, is destroying my life, is killing my life. This is the source of so much quarrels and conflicts in my family life, source of my failure. I must get rid out of it. I must get rid of it. I must get out of it. Through some thread of the willpower, with some help, some connection of the higher ability, at some point they could connect to some higher levels of their superior ability through strong willpower, and they could have some determination, although it is starting in a thin way, fine way, but as they continue that, I must save myself, alongside the guidance from the well-wishers from the environment, and receiving some help of drug rehabilitation program from outside, we find there are many examples. A person can get out of that conditioning of the intoxication. But he thought at some point he could never get out. He could never get out of that conditioning. Impossible. I cannot live without intoxication. It feels like, different levels of the drug addiction, it feels like I cannot live my life without it. I will die without it. Give me intoxicant, give me drug. I'm dying. But still, there's a realistic way to get out of that world of free choice. And there are many such examples that it happened. If it is not a real thing, how can it happen? So it is proven by realistic ways of the life that it can happen. There is a world of free choice. Like the way intoxication starts in life. When somebody starts intoxication, starts the life of intoxication, he does it with free choice. Before starting taking intoxications, before beginning to take the intoxication, that man is free. We cannot say he is already conditioned to take intoxication. No. He is inviting that conditioning of intoxication in life out of free choice. See? He is inviting that conditioning out of free choice. Then after he accepts that conditioning of taking intoxication out of free choice, then he becomes conditioned. But that condition in the first place also invited, accepted by the free choice. Look into the nature. It means some conditioning which has been accepted by someone with free choice. Also there is possibility that he can also get out of that. As he could accept out of free choice, he could also reject it, refuse that out of free choice. So even after being conditioned, he can also come out of that. It can work both ways. If he can go inside, he can also come out. Okay? It is proven in a self-evident way. If he could invite, if he could accept, he could also refuse. He can also refuse. Both abilities are there. We have to discover and utilize. I give you another example. State of sleeping. When you are in deep sleep, how you wake up? Because it looks like you are helplessly conditioned. Of course, there are some fatal conditionings. It comes in our life according to karma. We cannot get out of that in this lifetime. Maybe sometimes people get out of those, fatal conditioning after changing one life. Has to change the life itself. It's called fatal conditionings. Sometimes it is created by karma, past karma, present karma, stupid ways of our activities. We know it is fatal, but still we're going for that. It happens. There's no freedom of choice there. Only maybe some freedom of choice can be availed again after death. Freedom of choice will come back in life through death. Fatal conditioning. So here I'm not talking about fatal conditionings. Okay? Or absolutely there is no other way of the free choice. We know this is the way going to happen, my life. So that is a separate thing. Okay, that comes due to some heavy karma without any way out for the time being. But way out happens through changing life. That's the only way out. Not during the lifetime. Okay. So I'm not talking about that part, that of fatal conditioning. No, I'm talking about some ongoing different types of conditionings of life and free choice. So take example like state of sleep. When one is in the deep sleep, when you are in the state of deep sleep, then it seems to be you are not your controller. You have no freedom, you have no free choice. You are not in full control of yourself because you are sleeping. Anyone can come and do any harm to you. You cannot protect yourself. The deep slumber, sleeping state, if anybody comes and wants to kill you, you get killed. Do any harm, you cannot defend yourself because you have no freedom of choice. You're heavily conditioned by the sleeping mode. Yet, at some point we get out of the sleep. We wake up from the sleep. How it happens? It happens by different reasons. Some can say it happened due to some bodily pain, happens due to some great anxiety, happens due to some sickness of insomnia. I'm talking about the normal waking up. Talking about the normal ways of the waking up. From sleeping state, now changing the gear into the state of wakefulness. What is the margin? What is the marginal neutral state between changing gears? From sleeping mode into wakeful mode. We are not controlling. It's controlled by nature, it's true. Just as I gave you the example this morning, this noon time. Suppose, okay, you have to go somewhere in the midnight. It's something very, very important. And you are a very responsible, very sensible, responsible man. And that is going to bring you millions of euros. Okay, so, and you do not have an alarm clock to wake you up. But still you have got few hours, 4 or 5 hours to sleep. So you choose to sleep. But something will be working subconscious region, even during sleep. I repeat, something will be there in your subconscious region of the sleeping, which will wake you up during that time. Okay? So that because you are determined, you are a very responsible person, you'll automatically wake up. How it happens? Without the help of the alarm clock. We find many people do not always have the alarm clock, still they wake up. By sensibility, by strong sense of responsibility. How it happens? Maybe you cannot sleep very deep because you are going to lose millions of euros if you don't start at the midnight certain point. Don't be on time, don't be there on time. So if you are very self-confident, have full self-confidence, then you can fall asleep, enjoy your sleep. At the same time, you will wake up at the same time. And some other person will never be able to sleep out of excitement. Could happen both ways. But many of the sensible persons can enjoy sleep, can have some nice deep sleep. At the same time, can wake up around that time. Can happen. How it happens? Just by willpower. Willpower of determination, it can happen. Without the help of alarm clock or somebody, oh, wake up. I'm talking, it happens for those persons who are more sensible, who have subtle sense of responsibility. I'm not talking about crude type of person. Or they will be loser, they will miss the golden chance. It happens. So many students are sharing the same advantage, same environment, same facilities of the same school, hearing the classes, lectures of the same professors. Some are advancing, some are not. Some are having the great results, some are having excellent results, some are failing. Some are having success, some are failing. Why? Free choice working. Otherwise, if you talk about conditioning, the same conditions. Same school, same environment, same teachers, same subjects. Okay? Still, same human beings, same eyes, so similar. I have to say same, not same, similar eyes, similar ears, similar type of head and listening. Some are failing, some are being successful. Why? One of the reasons, proper application and wrong application. Higher applications of the freedom, free will, free choice, and misapplications of the free choice, if it happens. Okay. Also, it happens due to the inability, because by birth one is less intelligent. What to do? That's karma, fatal, predestined. Some portions of our life always predestined. As 50%, around 50-60% in our life more predestined, predesigned by the law of karma. By the law of karma, law of conditionings, environment, time, place, situation, everything. But whereas another 50 or 40% is in our hand. I'm just saying for example, I don't exactly say 50-50, maybe 40-60, 30-70. Both sides can be, okay. It depends on time, place, situations. Nature of karma. So it may be 50-50, 40-60, 80-20, whatever way. So, but let us let us suppose, let us take it for granted like 50-50. Okay, so the possibilities or the nature of positive and negative conditionings in our life, or the condition portion and the scope of the part of the free choice are 50-50. So 50% of life we cannot do anything on our own will. We are not the controller. We cannot control anything of that portion. It's almost predesigned, predestined according to law of karma and according to the conditioning of the time, place, situations, and one's own individual constitutional nature, helpless conditional nature. Cannot do anything. But another 50% is still there in our hand. We can do a lot with that. We can do a lot by utilizing that scope. If misusing that scope, we can bring more bad things, more harms in our life, more than what is already predestined, predesigned. If we utilize properly, we can bring more good things. We can invite so many good things. We can make so many good things happen in our life. Just by our misuse and proper use. That is in our hand, given by the Lord, given by the superpower, that ability. Okay. Therefore, it's not always the case one is conditioned to be failure. One is always conditioned to be successful, already preconditioned, except for some cases like fatal conditioning. I'm not talking about that. Nobody is that much conditioned to be failure, to fail or succeed. In other words, I repeat, nobody is really preconditioned to fail, to have failure or success. It comes in our life according to, based on some free choice also. Apart from preconditioning, predetermined, predesigned, predestined part, I'm talking about the other 50%, which is in our hand, given in our hand. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, because that is not conditioned, preconditioned. It is freshly available, that of dynamic nature. So we can have so much failure, and we can cause so much failure and so much success by misuse and proper use of that. So, back to the point. If we are able to wake up from a state of deep slumber, okay, if not, or just normal sleeping mode, such sleeping mode, if somebody comes and kills me, I cannot defend. Okay? Because the person is not prepared to defend. But the same person is waking up at some point. Something working, sense of timing working through body clock in his mind wakes him up. It is found. What is that? Activity of the free will, some strong some strong determination by free choice. And if the same person is trained up with high-class martial art like Kung Fu type, then even if that same person is sleeping, it's also found in the lifestyle of the Kung Fu martial artist or commandos. Their sleeping also gets so tuned and trained up. Any moment they can wake up. Okay, they can sense some attack is coming, so they can even defend them exactly at the moment when it is needed. So they can defend them waking up from the sleeping state exactly at the moment they need to do it. Of course, they never enjoy deep slumber. It's impossible. They cannot go to the level of deep slumber. It is difficult to wake up from that state. Like some type of sleep, conscious sleep, some sort of yogic sleep they have. So in the concept of the yogic sleep, there is a lot of free choice, functions of free choice. I can use another example, simple example, how the free will works. Suppose, okay, take for example, suppose somebody has knee pain. There are something we find many people cannot walk properly due to the pain in legs and the knees, feeling weak and all. So again, somebody is having so much leg pain, knee pain, feeling so weak, cannot walk properly, feels, I have no ability to walk. I cannot walk. I do not have the ability. I'm so conditioned by this. Do you know? Same person one time under one situation thinking, I cannot walk. I became nearly disabled. Became so weak. I'm already disabled, already unable to walk. That is so much mental conditioning more than physical conditioning. That person is creating so much, willingly creating what may not be there in natural way, but through a wrong thought process, negative thought process, negative contemplations, willingly creating, that is also happening out of free choice, creating so much negative conditioning in his mind, thinking, I cannot walk. I've got so much pain. Okay, I'm so unable, incapable, I'm incapacitated. So he cannot walk, so he's sleeping, calling some person, come, help me, this and that. The same person gets motivated in a positive way. I repeat, the same person has some positive ways of thinking and willing and gives a try. The same person can, unless except for the fatal injury. Okay, I'm not talking about that. Okay, same person can get up from the chair and take some walk, few steps little by little, and then at some point can improve, can have some improvement in walking style, can continue little further by little steps, and can make it possible to walk despite the fact of same leg pain and knee pain and thinking I am not able, but same person can do it. Just by how he can do? Just by changing the mentality, temperament from being conditioned, helplessly conditioned, and getting out of that conditioning, applying the power of the free will, can make a change. Quite possible. There we find many examples. That's what the great lives do. They take the lesson from the failures and utilize it to educate them, to receive educations, lights of education, the ways things will not work out. They learn the way they take it as learning, the good lesson, the ways things will not work out. I also needed this experience to discriminate between the ways of life which will not work out and which will work out. Okay, I understand now. I have already learned through lessons this will not work out, is not going to work out. Let me try further. Let me find out the newer ways. That's how the great lives do. Instead of collapsing, succumbing to the failure out of utter hopelessness and disappointment, they never do it. With some superior ability and with some backing of the grace from the higher world, from the higher level of the life, some aids and help from the higher divine world. Oh, and with their own positive thinking, positive willpower coming from their super soul, they survive. Not only survive, they win. Not only they overcome, at some point they continue to win, overcoming all the failures. So the term failures becomes the pillars of success. Failure is the pillar of success actually come from their life, not from ordinary lives, because ordinary lives mostly succumb. They succumb, they collapse, they cannot get out of it. But the extraordinary lives never do that. Instead of succumbing, helplessly collapsing, they find out the way or make it with the help of the higher power, superior power, from the plane of their soul and super soul, and also from the divine plane. And they go further, advance further. So from those examples, that saying came into reality. Failure is the pillar of success. Mm-hmm. If it's not pillar of success, at least it cannot affect the success. We can say that. Even if the failure doesn't become the pillar of success, at least it doesn't affect the success. It cannot check the success. We find that through the examples of great lives. I'll give you another simple example. A person just told me that story, true story. He found a person who used to come out of his house, okay, often, and walk on the road, could not walk properly. He was complaining to everybody, complaining to the neighbors and everyone, sometimes meeting on the roads, on the street, walking. I cannot walk. I have got rheumatism. I've got the problems of gout and rheumatism. Whole leg is paining. I've got so much knee pain. Look at my leg, how swollen it is. I cannot walk properly. What to do. One day so happened, that person was out in the road in a natural way. As he was walking by, suddenly there were some political party demonstration happening on the roadside. So some political party demonstration or some political protest was happening on the roadside against the government. So as he was walking by, during the same time, it so happened the protesters became a bit aggressive to the police, and police started, first started to keep them under control with sticks. It did not happen work. They started firing. And then everybody was running. Everybody started running here and there. Just to not to get injured and all. And the same person was found also running, who could barely walk in normal way, all the time complaining and somehow walking. At that time, same person was found, was also running, at least fast walking, running, and just took shelter in the nearby house, so that don't get injured. Then, after getting into one house, and he was looking outside through the windows, then thinking, I have to get out of this house when the fire stops, and just looking at the house owners and all. Then at some point, he was wonderstruck. He was so astonished with a thought, by thinking back. At some point, he remembered how he ran. Now, he was happily surprised, thinking, I ran this much and came to this house. I can run. I did not know before. Oh, it's a wonderful thing. I could run. Unbelievable. Came to this house, looking at the same leg. Although leg was paining more due to running, but still he could make it. He could run. More than just some way of walking, almost running, if not very fast running like the Olympic track, I'm not saying. But compared to how he was walking, it was running. And he was amazed with his own self. He was very happily amazed with his own self. I have this ability within me. I can run, and so long I was thinking, I cannot walk, I can barely walk, I need help. He discovered something wonderful. That is scope of free choice. I know everybody is under tense and time is running. Time pressure is there. So I thoroughly explained. And these were how free will also involved. I can give another example like a baby, a crawling baby. A baby is crawling. It is learning. It is very much conditioned and controlled by the parents. Baby. A baby doesn't have the freedom because it's under the control of the parents all the time watching. So many do's and don'ts for the babies. So it looks like a crawling baby or a baby doesn't have freedom. But if you look into the nature of the baby, especially when it starts crawling, briskly crawling and starts walking, it practically rearranges everything in the house. And parents are almost it's impossible for the parents to keep watch of the babies all the time. So that baby also has got freedom, so much freedom, free choice to grab these and rearrange things in the house, a naughty baby, so energetic. Although it is under the conditioning, under the guardianship, control of the guardianship of the parents. So although a crawling baby or that baby is not supposed to have the free choice, not really having the freedom of doing things as the adults can do, yet within the jurisdiction of parents' control over the baby, it has some free ways. It can crawl this way or that way. Suppose parents have got a jurisdiction for the babies. They are keeping watch from the far. They are not controlling which way a baby should crawl, this way or that way, this way. Baby has got many ways. Unless there's something dangerous, then parents are interfering. Otherwise, baby has so many ways of the freedom. Crawl, walk this way or that way, grab this or that, smile or cry, coming close to the parents or going away, playing this or that, so many free choice under the control of the parents. So under similar way, under the control of the nature or conditioning of time, place, situations, like the son and daughter of the nature, children of the nature, we also have some free will, free choice. Okay? We can wrongly apply, freely apply. Sorry, we can wrongly apply and rightly apply. We have both ways of the free choice, that of wrong application, right applications. Okay, enough analyzations and explanations, thorough. Okay, so no more query. Time is up.
It's
8:35.
Yeah, it's 35. It's quite late, so maybe we should stop. But we also have tomorrow at the same time, satsang, and it's a good idea to bring questions to get your answers.
But the only worrying condition is that if answering one question takes so much time, others will not get the chance. No freedom, no free choice to place the query. This is another conditioning coming. We need to get out of this conditioning, giving a big answer. But at the same time, if I don't accept this freedom, okay, such free choice, then the answer will not be explained properly. The answer will not be given all round way. Okay, not thoroughly. Just some aspects will still remain, and a further question will rise from that. But the way I give answer so thorough, so analytical, descriptive, hardly there will be any scope of further query relating to that. Because I do approach from all the angles of the answers of the question. Not one or two angles, or different angles, incomplete. That's my way, analytical and then be synthetical. Through being analytical, I reach the synthetical decision, synthetical siddhanta. So,
Now we have free choice of prasad.